See if I get the notification pop up on my phone. It's like we're so talkative, and the minute I hit start, we
I know. Everyone
get
just.
real, like something's gonna happen.
Did anything happen? Did we go? Are we on?
Nothing
Are we live?
happens.
What?
Nothing
What, are we live?
goes.
Oh,
I
no,
can't.
we lost Brooke. He's frozen.
I'm
No,
not
I was
looking
just
at.
pretending.
You're...
I know, but it's fabulous. It looks great. It looks.
That is
You know
so.
why I knew it wasn't actually frozen? Because your face looked normal. It's when you actually freeze. It's like it's.
Yeah, it is. It's always one of those. The freaking. Sorry. We're trying to go on live here, and in fact, we might be live. We are.
We're live.
And just right in the middle. You caught the behind the scenes, boys and girls. Yay!
Woo! I am so excited to be back. I tell you.
We are excited to have you back. We were just talking behind the scenes about when you stop the video. It's always the thumbnail where you're going.
Yeah, you never look normal. Yeah,
it's always the one.
It's well on your Tuesday night gig. It seems like you're always just like leaned back in your chair chilling, and Ash is like right in the camera making some kind of a like really pushing home a point or excitement about something or.
Yeah, especially when you look at the thumbnails, like, oh gosh, what
the
heck?
There's the notification.
What was I trying to think there? I'm sure I was trying to say something really important.
See, I gotta get that fixed. The notification is coming up. It's time to dive into the Dragon's Horde.
Dive into Dragon's Horde.
That used to be a spot easy to get to on Twitch as a moderator, and now I think it's locked down behind the login.
Well,
because I can't OBS it, so we'll figure it out one day.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Man, welcome back, everybody. I think I said that already once. Johnny, what do we have going on tonight?
I just got here. We've got round 2 of a special guest, a man who needs no introduction. Ladies and gentlemen. I mean, he needs no introduction, so I'm not gonna introduce him.
Oh, that guy.
That guy. It's Michael Cross, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause. We got Michael Cross. We got special effects being driven here by Brooke, and we've got Ginger Halfling in the chat. It's a party already.
Woo. Yeah.
Woo!
This is all we need. Right.
So one of these days, she's gonna be rested up, and she'll be back in another little box right over here.
Right.
It'll be great.
We'll get her in.
So,
yeah.
We'll get her in. We'll put her in boxes.
We should just have all 4 of us in.
Right.
we work well together. Ever since this whole thing started, it's amazing watching the 4 of us, and with Connor coming in, and when Ash, it's like this magical thing that happens. Really,
we'd have a show without the DM, but then Ash will just watch and take notes and be like, doing this next week? Yep, next session is that? Yep. No, they never do that.
So it's big news. First off, we're going to do some spoilers. So really, so if you haven't seen 23, check it out. But this is not a spoiler. Wednesday, we dropped episode 73. Wednesday was our second best download day. 202 downloads in one day. The only day that beat that was this weird anomaly back in December of last year on the 28th, where I think everybody was off on vacation and decided, hey, let's listen to every episode of Red Dirt.
Everyone got a new phone and was like, I'm getting all these podcasts.
And so there was like 219, 220 something downloads on that one day. But this was the actual first time that 200 downloads on our day of dropping 73. It's December again. We're about 2,500 away from 30,000.
Right on.
30,000 by the 31st, boys and girls. You can help us do that.
Right.
It might be possible.
It's possible. If we have another December like we had last year compared to the previous November, we could easily do it. But that would take everybody out there talking to your friends, talking to your family.
Yeah.
Because
I think
you can do it. Because my wife, she'll talk to anybody about my podcast. Like total strangers in a line at the grocery store.
Right.
Like, do you listen to podcasts?
So
D&D podcasts? Would you like to listen to D&D podcasts? Here's one.
I play Elder Scrolls Online, and I got into a random dungeon group with some people who were role players, and they were role playing with each other. They were all from the same guild, and I kind of started getting into it. And they're like, "Oh, are you a role player? I'm like, "Oh yeah, for sure. Like, you want to be in our guild?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Well, tell us about yourself." And I'm like, "Okay." Kind of, resumed myself a little bit, and then the role playing part, I was like, "Well, this and that." And I've been in other role playing guilds and other games, and I've played D&D, and I have a theater background, and I'm in a live play podcast, and like. A live play podcast of what? D&D. Oh my god, are you serious? Got the instant invite, and then it was like go to Discord and like link your podcast. And so this was like last week, so we'll see what happens with that. But it was pretty it was pretty fun. I pimp it I keep saying I'm pimping it. I recommend watching it
I'm pimping it.
when the moment takes it. Yeah. I think if we could do it in a montage, we could hit 30,000 by the end of December. If we did an 80s montage.
If you also figure that if you get like 5 or 6 new people to listen to all of our episodes, which is now 73.
Oh yeah.
74, I guess, if you count the pilot. And of course, there's our roundtables out there. If they were to listen to every one of our shows, which is probably like 90 episodes, that's a bunch of people downloading, listening. So just get 10 people.
Right.
If they listen to the whole thing, that's 900 downloads.
That's absolutely. And then all those people listening, we could do it in a montage. Oh yeah.
Hey, Strixhaven is next week.
Strixhaven.
Who's excited for that?
I am now, only because I found out there's dragons in it.
Right. Whoop. Yeah. Yep.
There's brand new NPC dragons. Each school is controlled by an ancient dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Speak to me.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. Founded and controlled by an ancient dragon. And so they've statted them out because if you played Strixhaven and Magic the Gathering, you know this.
Right.
But there's no stats for them. Well, the new book has that. Mm. And it has an adventure inside the book that takes you from level 1 to level 10.
That's not bad for a setting book like that.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be a strong book for sure. It's gonna. Yeah. I think it might even like change things up and set the tone for future releases. Because remember at D&D Celebration, they did say we're gonna release books in formats you haven't seen before, and people think that means digital, but no, it could mean here's a campaign setting with a campaign in it.
Yeah, which is how it should be.
Right. Yeah, and that's how it's been before here and there in pieces, but. Bring back the box sets.
Bring back the box set.
Yeah, exactly. My Grognard kicks in. I immediately think of the blue box set with Isle of Dread in it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so good.
For sure.
Yeah. So I'm excited about Strixhaven. I'm gonna wait a little bit. I wouldn't go out and buy it immediately. Of course, any book that I get right up D&D Beyond because I basically like the Fizzbands. I don't actually physically have a copy. Because my wife would kill me because she's probably getting it for me for Christmas. So I have the digital copy, and so whether or not I'm going to get the digital copy of Strixhaven, I'm going to wait and get some reactions, let some people out on the interwebs tell me how I feel about it.
Right. I'll tell you this: if you're local and you're in Oklahoma, as of last Sunday, 4 days ago, Game HQ had 3 copies of the collector's edition Fizzband on the shelf.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a beautiful book.
It is a beautiful
that cover for sure.
That's
I think it's a great book. Ash and I have really been enjoying going through that. We didn't have time on Tuesday. There was way too much news.
Oh yeah.
Table of contents for Strixhaven had dropped.
Yeah.
And the greatest news that we talked about was Hasbro came out with an article came out talking to the president of Hasbro. Mm-hmm. The president of Hasbro was talking about, so this D&D thing that apparently we just found out we own, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of TV shows and a whole bunch. I'm like, what?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of new content coming out. It's like, where have you been? Again, I'm really certain that sometime this past summer, the CEO walked in and said, boy, this D&D thing's really hot. Whoever owns that must be really good. And one of the underlings went, we do.
We do.
Yeah. I would love to be the
You're
intern
so
that
good
looked at the
about that.
CEO and said, "Are you new?" That would be the best. So here's some math to think about, Michael. It could be that whole. I mean, I know you're saying it in jest, but there's some truth to it. Or it could be this: when you hear that a TV show is being made, it's usually 4 years later before it pops up. Like Wheel of Time was talked about 4 years ago, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Lord of the Rings.
So right.
Right.
What else is happening in the world of Dungeons and Dragons in the next 3-4 years?
The book, the movie.
40th anniversary and a possible edition change.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Here's D&D 5.5 and a TV show and a movie and a cartoon and all happening at once.
But also my only problem with that is it's a day late, hopefully not $1 short.
Yeah.
Because this should have been done 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the 5th edition happened out in 2014, but it wasn't as big. But with Vin Diesel and Stephen Colbert and all of these...
Joe Manganiello writing script after script for Dragonlance.
Backing Dungeons and Dragons, and with Critical Role and all of the popularity of D&D, which didn't happen, didn't happen this past summer. That happened in about 2018, 2019.
Right.
So where was Hasbro 2018, 2019? We should be having a movie and television show coming out right now.
Yeah.
Because if they realized what they owned back in 2018 and how popular it was at the time, Stranger Things.
Yeah.
I mean, there was
Can we
so
play
much
D&D
popularity
now?
in the past 2 or 3 years. You've been sitting on now you're deciding to go to a television show or a movie or whatever, or books or comic books, whatever. That's not going to come out for 2 or 3 years. If you started this when it really started getting popular, my concern is, and you guys will understand this because I tried to get it along back to Ash. Do you remember back in the early 80s a movie called Valley Girl?
Yeah. Nick Cage.
Yeah, came out after the Valley Girl fad had already gone through its whole thing. So by the time it came out, who cares?
Yeah.
And that's what I worry about with Dungeons and Dragons. Is that now? I don't think so because I don't think the popularity. It's not the same thing. I guess.
Well, I think one saving grace for putting it out in multiple forms of media is going to be, and you mentioned them, is going to be Critical Role because they have an Amazon animated series coming out for Vox Machina.
Yeah.
They've already got a few shorts animated, but now Amazon is taking it full blown, and I guarantee you that hits our screens before Hasbro does.
Right, but see, well, of course they will. It's happening next year, and the reason again in 2019, Critical Role went to Kickstarter and had the biggest Kickstarter. I mean, it blew the numbers away.
Right.
There were more. It went. I think it had a $10 million stretch goal because they had stretch goal, and they went, we'll just do $10 million because we're never going to hit that one. They did it. It was like $11 million. At that point, maybe someone should have told the CEO of Hasbro they own that.
Right.
That thing that just blew away every number ever because there's now followers and fans.
Right.
Hey, maybe we should do something again back in 2019, not the summer of 2021.
What I love about it is that they're not even saying, here's a D&D TV show. It's, here's a Vox Machina. I mean, like a few years later, they can do here's a Mighty Nine show. It's about these 4 or 5 people that have these unique abilities, and they go on this adventure, and because you never have to say the word Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
And so you're scot-free on any legal obligations or red tape or anything. It's just a story you come up with your friends.
Sure.
Yeah, they're taking advantage of that. I think it's great. Not that they're taking advantage of it, but that we're getting some kind of content on the screen because.
And I'll be sitting down and watching it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep up with season 3, which is really hard right now because I'm so busy. But I enjoyed season 2 of Critical Role. I listened to podcasts through a lot of season 1. So I'm looking forward to that. So it's really fun. So.
I will say that the D&D movie that's coming up, it's killing me because it's like they finished production. It'll be out in 17 years.
I know.
Or what? 2 years? December? 2 years away from now? It's like.
Well, and here's the problem. I don't know. I think part of the problem is that movie studios have to pick dates. And they have to pick dates like 3-4 years in the future.
And they don't want to compete with Infinity War.
Right. Yeah. But see, the problem was we had a pandemic. And so movie theaters shut down. Movie studios basically went, okay, all these movies are coming out in 2020. will move them to later in 2021, which moved everything else.
Right.
So the original movie was supposed to come out in 2022. The D&D movie was supposed to come out in 2022. The reason it's moved to 23, I don't think is because of production issues. I think it's because the studio went, and again, but why would you? Why? This is probably going to be the most popular movie. Well, that's not Marvel or Disney or Star Wars.
It's going to get close.
I know. It won't be. No.
You don't think?
If it does, it will have to be phenomenal. It'll have to be Lord of the Rings phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just a name. The movie would have to be just mind blowing.
It would have to be a different D&D movie than we have seen from D&D movies.
It would have to be a different D&D product than we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Crossed, but I don't know.
I mean, yes, if it is a New Hope type of phenomenal, groundbreaking, it will blow away anything that Disney, Star Wars, and Marvel puts out that year. But
if it's Phantom Menace,
or if it's Dungeons and Dragons 2000, which I still have. I mean, I'll go see it in the theater,
All right.
regardless.
All right.
Walk away going.
We have the chat to chime in. What do you think's gonna? How well do you think the D&D movie's gonna do on a scale of what's not done well? On a scale of the second Wonder Woman movie, and
oh gosh,
and it was great. I loved it better than the first. It just didn't do well.
No.
On a scale of that on a scale of Tenet to Dune. Yeah, that's what we'll do.
Okay. With the original Dune or the new Dune?
New Dune. Because see, Tenet, the theaters opened back up to play Tenet, and I went, and I was like, you could have saved us for Ghostbusters.
No. The thing I loved about Dune was the fact my father and I went to go see it.
Right on. Cool. That's cool.
Because, of course, I think we went and saw the original one back in '84. But we went and saw Dune, and then I got to come home and watch it with my wife on HBO Max. So I got to watch it with closed captioning. So all those lines I didn't catch, even though it was surround sound.
Right.
Oh, that's what they said. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I really like this simulcasting thing that HBO Max is going on. I'm looking forward to The Matrix.
I'm so ready for The Matrix. It's good stuff. Yeah.
There you go.
So I think the Dungeons and Dragons movies is really going to depend on being it's got to be a good movie.
Yeah.
Again, just like Lord of the Rings would have been a total flop if it had not been as good as it was.
I'll tell you what, I hope D&D is closer to Lord of the Rings than it is The Hobbit.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
We have Dunic memeing us in chat.
Rankin and Bass Hobbit, because that thing is the best.
Well, who? What?
The Rankin and Bass Hobbit.
Oh, right.
Back in the 1970s.
Yeah. That's what I want. That's what I want in the animated stuff.
That's what a grognard would say right there.
Real
Good job,
cheesy.
Michael.
There's a reason people are here.
I had the record. I had the Hobbit record. It was the entire movie on record.
Okay.
Yes.
I know we got folks in the chat, but hold on. You've got a record? You've got
I don't have
the
it
audio?
anymore. I did when I was a kid. I had a record of it was a record.
Oh, I had the Hobbit record.
They had the Hobbit. They took the entire Hobbit.
You take the book and it goes ding, and you turn the page.
No, it was just the record. It was just the record of the Hobbit. Of course, I also had the record of the Lord of the Rings by Ralph Bakshi too, but that wasn't the movie. That was just the soundtrack.
Right. That's awesome.
Mind-blowing. That was when I first fell in love with soundtracks. That and John Williams. Anything by John Williams or any of that during that time period was incredible movie.
Well, Michael,
that makes a lot of sense.
Earlier, Michael, you mentioned that this Wednesday's episode dropped and some magic happened. What was the name of that episode?
An Orc in the Road.
Why was it called that?
Because it was damn funny.
And that's how you do a transition. That's how you do a transition.
I thought that was it.
So our intrepid adventurers come across an orc fighting some weird sand creatures.
Fighting the wind.
Yes. And so it turns out it was me. It was me all along.
And as the chat says, it's as if a main character died off and then the same actor came back.
I tell you, that's what would really make the Dungeons and Dragons movie awesome.
That's what Dunic was saying. Yep.
Yeah, is if if Chris Pine's character dies, and then a couple scenes later Chris Pine walks in, but it's a totally different character.
Oh man, that last D&D movie, it would have been really cool if Marlon Wayne's character would have died, and then the movie just kept going. I'm sorry, it was not a great movie. I'm sorry.
It was a terrible movie.
I've never seen them. I've never seen those Underdog.
Oh, with Jeremy Irons.
None of them.
Oh, you gotta watch it at least once. Bruce Payne.
No, it is my goal. My son and I desperately want to sit down and have a movie marathon of watching all three. He is certain that they might actually not be bad.
No, the best one is the one that was made for TV.
I was gonna say the low budget one is the best one. The low budget one is the best one always.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's like maybe.
Yeah.
So.
So who's this orc?
Okay. The orc, his name. So anyone, by the way, spoilers. Okay, it's Gaz.
What a gas, man!
Gaz. His original name was going to be Gus. Because I was.
With the way he sounds.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. First off, I thought, okay. Originally, it was going to be like a ranger, possibly, or a rogue, maybe. But again, we talked about this last time. It's going to be a little too dark, a little too edgelordy. And I'm like, I want to do something a little bit more. And I realized as I was listening to you guys that we needed something a little bit more because you were losing your frontline fighter.
True.
So bringing in a ranger, a rogue, they're more skirmisher, they're more archer. So I said, okay, well, I'll bring in the frontline fighter. I'll do an orc barbarian. So I was going to be Gus. Wasn't sure where I was going with it.
One of the mice from.
Yeah. Well, my first, I thought it basically was a Western name.
Oh, that's nice.
Like Gus. And
yeah.
My only problem was every time I kept thinking about him, I kept thinking of from Cats. Gus is the cat at the theater.
Oh wow, yeah.
His name, as I ought to have told you before.
And we don't need a card, so.
And so that I couldn't. I was like, I can't do Gus. And I was like, well, okay, Gaz. What about? Because I was looking at the other names of orcs in Ash's world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. They named, so I'm like Gaz. Okay, well that's cool. And I don't remember if it was Ash or I that came up with who he was related to.
I was going to ask how early that happened in character creation. If that was like from the get-go or just...
It wouldn't shock me if you both looked at each other and said it at the same time. It's just like it's so there.
It might have been because we, and to tell you the truth, okay, here's a little insider thing. Gaz really, I think maybe had really finalized him maybe a week before we were going to do it. Okay, I got this character. And because I didn't know how far I was going to go into recording before he got introduced.
Yeah.
So there's the character. Ash, just throw me in whatever. It's going to be orc barbarian. Just throw me in whatever you want. And so I really wasn't expecting to come in for maybe I thought we'd go through 3 or 4 recordings, and I might not even come in.
Yeah.
So Ash says they meet an orc. Michael, why don't you describe it? And I was really not quite prepared.
None of us were, but I'm sure you even more. Yeah, it was kind of until we could hear the that's me kind of happen from you. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, what am I fighting? Okay, and so then I go into the description, and the same thing happened with Gideon. I did not know Gideon's voice until he started speaking in the pilot. Until he walked in that door and started speaking, I did not have Gideon's voice. I didn't have Gaz's voice until it was time to start. I knew I wanted him to be flamboyant. I knew I wanted him, but I didn't know exactly. And I thought I wanted to kind of pull out my lower jaw because he's got tusks, so he'd have a little bit of an underbite. So when it was like, yes, I'm Gaz.
That's awesome.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, young Zonymous.
I like you say friend Zonymous.
We shall take them down. Fight them wherever they come. Because usually they are dead, and I have gone.
You know, my favorite part is when there's some role play moments, and it's like Gaz is kind of like off screen a little bit, and then at some point Poppy will look to Gaz and say something, and then it's lost to editing, a little behind the scenes stuff, but when you respond, you're not quite Gaz because it's like you said there in silence for like 20 minutes.
Yes. Well, what's really great is when there's nothing, when everyone's kind of quiet and talking, and then Gaz talks. Hey!
Oh God! So Ginger Halfling's gone. Oh, she's.
I think I made Kiri pee a little.
You make Kiri jump a few times, like legit
Every
jump.
time.
Yeah.
Every time, if it's been a moment of silence, and then Gaz is like right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because that's really what I wanted him to be, but I did not know it was going to be quite that. I didn't know it was going to be Captain Cheerio as bad as it was until he started speaking. I'm like, okay, that's Gaz's voice. Apparently, that's the one that's coming out of my face.
I know Kiri dodged this one, but I know Brooke and I changed our accents from audition to production.
Yeah.
Because Makron was originally had like a Russian accent. And Johnny, completely misunderstood stuff. And I thought we were from somewhere else in D&D, aka maybe Forgotten Realms, coming to the frontier to map it. And so that's why at auditions I had this kind of like young, roguish type, like, oh, I'm fun, like doing, unless I would turn my back on you, then I kind of glower a little bit. But yeah, so that's why I went from this to, I've just been out here a long time and I'm tired.
The weather beaten.
Because I remember the first time we officially recorded, I was like, oh, we're from here. Oh, I got to do an accent. Okay, I got. So I aged him up 10 years and made him a cowboy.
Yeah. House 22 says, we shall fight them on the beaches, and we shall fight them on...
Yes.
Right
Once
on.
more, unto the breach. I really enjoyed the character. I had not realized how much I would enjoy it, and I really enjoyed it the past few episodes, the ones that haven't dropped yet.
Oh yeah, they were great recording sessions. Yeah, lots of role play.
There's more we can talk about in future Plausible Deniability about the reaction, because the more we get into what we're doing with now, the more I realize that Gideon wouldn't have fit in this.
Gideon was having that big struggle of there was a struggle with Gideon, an internal struggle that I don't think would have.
No,
oh boy, that's an.
I think he's in a better place than he would be months down the road from now if he was still right.
This fits better for the story that we're heading into now. Fits better for Gaz than it does for Gideon, and that's so weird that it would make that kind of natural type of switch for us, but it's really, really cool. And so everyone out there, enjoy it. The next few episodes are a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
I know because I've been editing them all this week. We're recording again on Sunday. Woo! We're recording 79 through 82.
Wow! And if you're binging, keep binging. Keep catching up with us because it's awesome.
Right on.
Yeah, it is. It's been phenomenal, and so
in our Discord, it may be it may be time, maybe sometime this week. Michael, you shared a private kind of little. I don't want to. A little simple animation.
I did.
You shared privately. It may be time to drop that in the Discord for our Patreons, because I know that you made it for someone we're affectionately calling Courtney the Kobold, and she loved it. She was like, "Why do you make me cry again? Happy tears."
It's been interesting bringing a new character in. But character death is interesting. I killed my son this past Saturday.
Awesome. Good job.
That's one of those things that, if someone out of context hears that, right? Just, you're walking down the street with your friends, or you're at a restaurant with your friends, your gaming friends, and then you're like, so then we just slid it right in between his ribs, and they,
if the FBI ever looked at my browser history, I'm going down.
That's really bad. But yes, so we're playing. I got these old classic novels. Goodman Games came out with this. They came out with the Borderlands, Into the Borderlands.
Oh, wow.
I'm taking them through Isle of Dread. We've already been through Into the Borderlands. We're doing Isle of Dread. After this, we go to Barrier Peaks.
Yeah,
living that Greyhawk life.
My son, there's a red dragon, a young red dragon, and so my son, who's the warlock of a genie pact, decides to disguise himself as a kobold, and he's going to go approach the dragon with like a gift.
No, that's risky.
And I'm like, okay, roll your deception.
Oh no.
Total failure.
Ah.
And so I rolled the perception for the dragon, and it was like massively high. Saw right through it and went,
Yeah.
breath weapon. He failed his dex check. 56 points of damage to a 6th level character.
He totally died to the dice.
Well, he just went unconscious, but he split the party. All the other players weren't anywhere close to him. They were all down the other side of the mountain.
Never split the party.
And I'm like, I said, okay, roll me some death saves. If you get 3 saves, if you save 3 times, I'll just say you're unconscious until everyone can get to. 3 fails.
Oh no! In a row or just?
Well, just throughout. I think they were in a row. 3 fails.
Oh my gosh!
And so he died, but then and it's kind of like the same thing I did. I was like, wait a minute. He gets to create a brand new character now at 6th level. So he's now going through all the stuff, because we're playing in Greyhawk. So he's going through all this Greyhawk stuff of what classes he can do. So he's really excited about to have a brand new character. Now, by the way, spoilers for anybody who's playing on the Saturday Night Group. He's decided to not come back because that's how we ended. We ended with, okay, we got the $1,500 gold piece gem, brought him back to the town, try and save him, and I said, do you want to come back? It wasn't a Ratoya type of moment. It wasn't like you can't, but it was, hey, you're a halfling. You're out with the goddess, and you're with your mom, and it's paradise. Or you can come back to the hellhole of the material plane. Which one do you choose? And I said, tell you what. We were about 20 minutes before the end of the session. I said, tell you what, we'll just end there. And you spend time to think about this. And, of course, it was like 24 hours later. It's like, I've got my new character. Okay.
Nice.
So with character death in D&D, we feel very close to our character.
Yeah.
And in 5e, it's really hard to kill a character in 5e. So what do you guys think about character death? Should we get attached or...
I'm going to say this. It sounds like your son died to some really, really bad dice rolls. Some many, many bad dice rolls. And Michael and Dunick and chat, you guys know what we do with really, really bad dice, right?
We do.
We file off the single-digit numbers, and then we drill a hole through them.
Oh my gosh!
This die will never hurt anyone again.
The pictures were fabulous.
Yeah.
The pictures on Discord were just phenomenal.
So my thing with character death is, I've got a couple interesting examples where character death has happened before, and if it's to something just dumb, it's like, oh god, that was dumb, really. But if it's because bad die rolls, I mean, that happens. If it's because I took a chance, I took a chance. Don't bail me out, kind of thing. If there's an opportunity to res, fine. And I also look at it like this. I paid $60 for that book, and a certain percentage of it is how to die and how to make a new character and re-enter the game. Yeah. So I'm getting my money's worth when I die and make a new character. I mean, it's just, you can't look at it any more optimistically than that, I think, is, opportunity. I played a Pathfinder game recently, Pathfinder 2, where I died because no door in this game so far, up to like level 10, has been trapped. So we started just willy-nilly opening doors and going through them.
Oh, no.
So not only that, let me back up. Not only that, it was a straw hut type of building in the Mwangi Expanse. Brooke, in the Mwangi Expanse. And it had just like a carved wooden chunk that was the handle. And so, of course, my paladin's like, here we go.
Poison everywhere.
No, not poison everywhere. Some kind of weird, funky curse in which I failed the fortitude check and death. It was basically power word doorknob. Yeah, and I was like, it happened. It's fine. And it was written in the adventure book. It was actual adventure path Paizo put out, and it was written no saves, no nothing. The character gets one shot, and you fail. You can't spend points to get back, whatever, nothing. It's you better make that roll work.
Wow.
So, and the DM was like, this is so dumb. I feel so bad that our like mighty brave champion in steel from head to toe with a huge like holy avenger flaming sword and wings and blah, 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 died to a doorknob. So he would not let me stay dead. He brought me back. He's like, and your penalty is you can't use any of your abilities for like 3 days or something or whatever. It was some kind of like weird. I limped for a few days, but it was kind of weird because I was actually fighting the DM on bringing me back, not because I didn't like the character. I loved the character and glad he lived till the end. But it was like it's part of it. Don't feel bad that you killed me. Don't feel bad that a thing in a pre-written adventure. I failed the roll. I should have been more careful. I should have had someone else check the door before I just grabbed it. We just got comfortable in the fact that there hasn't been a trap door for 10 levels, So that's my outlook on it. I think it's if you did something and the trap sprung and I died,
right.
You and I are going to have a conversation about play tactics. Yes. Other than that, everything's great.
Well, and that's the classic D&D, the original AD&D, you made a character, it was going to probably die. So you had a static character ready to go at any point. And these books are based off of the old AD&D. I've killed 3. Aiden is my 3rd character to kill in this campaign.
Wow, that's fantastic.
The first one got caught up in a water elemental and didn't
drown.
I said, are you going to use this turn to get out? No, I'll just try and fight it inside the water. Okay, and then drowned. The second one I felt bad about because he got attacked by a big snake, knocked him unconscious. I was like, okay, and the snake moved on. And then he rolled a 6 on the first roll and then a 1.
Oh, no.
3 deaths failed. I'm like, in 2 rounds, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. But then he comes up with a new character that's his sister that's been looking for him, and so it's really cool. So it's okay.
This is going to sound weird, but I long to die to failed death saves. I haven't died to that yet. I've died to like instant death. There's no chance of a death save kind of thing. I really want the anticipation of the, oh my God, here it is, final chance.
And it's phenomenal. When you die to death saves, it's pretty phenomenal. I've also done the roll to 1 on a death save and obviously death fail.
Anyway, more paladin deaths
and died. Yeah, now the one that had never happened to me was you're dead. That had never happened.
Mark that off the list.
And so
right.
So that one took me completely by surprise.
It took us all by surprise, brother.
Yeah. And I think also having Gaz. That's the other thing about Gaz. He is such a flamboyant, bigger than life type of character that you can go, okay, I'm not feeling quite so bad that Gideon's no longer around. We've now got this fun-loving guy that we can get to know and like. I'm hoping, although I tell you, episode 72 and 73 broke my heart.
Yeah.
When Poppy was like, I don't trust him, I don't like him, then I'm like, oh, that's my little Poppy. No. Poppy doesn't like me anymore.
Well, there was something else that was very interesting in a recording session lately, and I don't know if it's made it out yet. Spoiler. Zonimus does a thing that seemed to shock only you, only Gaz. No one else responded, and you kind of gasped and made a face, and then we moved on, which was interesting because it was like Michael knows why to gasp.
Yeah.
But Gaz doesn't know why to gasp.
Yeah. You guys for watching listen to the next episode 74 through 78.
Yeah.
The changes that Johnny has brought to Zonimus.
Oh,
it's wonderful.
They are wonderful.
And it is such a incredible character arc. You are all going to enjoy it so much. And it's really hard to play that because I know Zonimus. Michael knows Zonimus. Gaz doesn't have a freaking clue who this guy is.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh well, yes, let's just whatever you think is a good idea. But for me, it's really shocking because you've had to you've had to change.
Well, there was even a moment where I looked down the table at you, and I was like,
you can't.
Shit.
You don't know my looks.
You don't know my looks. I was like, Michael knows my looks. Gideon knows my looks. Gaz is probably going to be like, Please, sir,
No,
stop flirting with me. You know, Friends Anonymous, do not flirt with me. And I'm sure that got edited out, and it'll be in the gag reel at the end. But I just looked down the table, and I'm like, damn, you don't know my looks. I can't do this like I usually do. Yeah.
Then Kiri comes right back with, okay, well, you know my looks, and this is my look right now.
Oh my goodness.
I've loved where this is going. It's weird. It's so weird when you think about the fact that we've only been doing this for about a year and a half, and we've just gotten to know each other as actors, to know how to play off of each other, both when we're trying to be serious and when we're like poking fun at whatever it is we're doing. Yes.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what. I had great fun at Extra Life playing. Not these characters, not recording, not having to worry about not a worry in a negative way, but not have to think about over amping the banter because of an audience, and such. At Extra Life, playing with you and Ash.
Yeah.
And that was and the cool thing about it was that table was us. It was us, Ash. It was I don't want to say her name but it was our dungeon master for this charity event was Pro Laser Cuts. That's laser and cuts with a Z.
With a Z.
Pro Laser Cuts.
Pro Laser Cuts right there. And then we had Nightmare from our Patreon, our Discord, and we have our new Patreon Discord member, Dunic, who was we met him and hung out and everything, and it was so fun. And I kind of saw it as a team building, and I'm like, one day, we all need to play with Ash too at the table and have someone else DM us, and get because I've played with Ash before, but like none of us have played together outside of this all together. Outside of this, and I wonder what that would bring. If we did something like that, 2 or 3 sessions, what would that bring to the table for the way that we're doing the podcast? It's still unscripted, but just the way that we're reading each other and feeding off each other. And what would that?
There is a way out there. There is. I did actually read a post from somebody who came up with a way to play Dungeons and Dragons with no official dungeon master.
Yeah.
It is just simply that one person is DMing until another person decides, oh, I want to take it from here.
Yeah.
And they take over. And then, you've got to be at this level with your party. I don't mean your party as in adventurers. I mean your party.
With your players.
Your table has to be at that level to be able to go, okay, hold on, I'm taking over from here.
Right.
And
I've got it. Boom. Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a basic improv exercise. You'll pull half the group into a circle, and the other half is the audience. And at any point, the audience watching this improv will say stop, or say someone else's name. Like right now, they would say Brooke, and I would stop talking, and Brooke would finish this
sentences.
Sandwich. Damn it, Brooke. Sandwich.
Soliloquy.
That's what it should have been.
Well, I don't know if you guys listen. Dice Populi is one of my favorite actual play podcasts that I listen to, and they actually have that system set up to where the one I was describing, but just simply they've got 4 players, and every now and then one person DMs for like 3 or 4 or 5 sessions until their story arc is done. And then somebody else comes in and continues the story arc. They just make up their own next story arc. So it's really cool. It's called Dice Populi. It's really fun.
That would be a really great thing to do, like in an interim between campaigns.
Yeah, maybe we should think about that.
If we knew of any multi-campaign shows.
Well, the thing is, the great thing is, I think we've also gotten comfortable enough, and you guys listening will really hear it 73 through 78 or 74 through 78. I think that we've gotten really to a comfortable point where we can feel okay about adding to Ash's world, and they don't seem to have much of a problem with us saying, well, especially with Gaz. Gaz he's got a whole back history.
Oh, yeah.
Alabama.
I can't wait for everyone to hear it, yeah.
As a player, I'm so interested to know about this little bit of spoiler here, a little adventuring party that he was a part of before.
Yeah.
And then they've kind of gone their separate ways, and that's why he was, I'll say, alone out there. And And like one of them went north, and I'm super interested about like what's north, like
Yeah.
I Johnny, not Zononus by any means, have heard some whispers of what is north
from a Patreon special
from
edition.
someone who
that's
found
right.
out through being a high
Nightmare-
subscribed patron member.
Well,
I almost want to subscribe at that same level to find out.
I can find out what it was.
Yeah.
Nightmare and his friends went there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ash actually ran
That's
them
awesome.
through that. So
Yep.
and I don't know what it is either, and they won't tell us because to us it would be a spoiler. So
Well, yeah. I mean, a Nightmare walked up to me at Extra Life and he goes, "Can't wait for you guys to go north." And I'm like, "North of like Edmund Unplugged?" He's like, "No. I mean like north in their game." And I was like, "North in my game? There's nothing north in my game." And he just goes, "Oh, you don't nothing." I was like, "No, tell me." He goes, "Dude, I played in your world. Just wait."
Yeah.
I was like, "No, tell me now. I gotta know."
Yeah, for anyone who joins it
Gaz's-
at a higher level, Ash will run you through this game where it's in Ratoya. So it's fantastic. Yeah, and there is a far north. There is a far. We're just basically in the center of this continent. There's so much more to explore.
Yeah, because in my brain world of memories of seeing drawings and sketches and maps while we're playing is it's surrounded by mountains and it's just this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, we're cool. We're in a bubble. Neat.
Yeah.
And just go with that. But then when he dropped that bomb on me, I was like, there's so much more. And how different is it? And what's it like? And he's like, no, mum's the word. I can't tell you. So
which is great because that means for all our listeners and for us as well, we are going to experience as we go into more campaigns, more seasons. There's so much more to explore. And Ash, I think, has built out a lot of it. But then there's also a lot of it that's still kind of a mystery that we get to build over the next few years. And that's exciting. That's an exciting thing to build this brand new world.
Go back to you're talking about character death and bringing a new character in. That's exciting in that it brings back the beginning of the campaign where we were getting to know each other, and then that it's not a bad thing, but it goes away because we know each other. Well, then it gets refreshed with Gaz's introduction and everything, and that discovery is there anew again, and I think it's also good timing with where we are and what's going on in the campaign. Now, also,
it's book 2.
Well, off of that, how important is it, either as a DM or as a player, how important is it to kind of have like a credible reason, quote unquote, to run into this new character? I mean, is that for Michael with Gaz? It sounds like you didn't know exactly when he was gonna come in. So did you have an idea of like, oh, I've been adventuring, I might meet them at Fort Rushing Water, let's say, or I might meet them?
No, I didn't have even I didn't even write my backstory until after we recorded episode 71. I knew he was native to the Caliban.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, and it was right before we started recording episode 71. I pulled Ash aside and I told him, I said, well, maybe a really good way to meet Gaz is he's in a battle. And so that was, I just kind of threw that out, but I didn't know when that was going to happen. So I really hadn't made much of a backstory except for he's Gaz Gash's son, and he's out here alone in the Caliban for some reason.
Yep.
And that's pretty much it. But it came out so quickly in episode 72 that all of a sudden he's there in the second half, can we talk real quick? Right before Gaz's introduction. Makran's moment at the fire with the logs to the diary that he's going to give and dude, that was powerful.
Your editing is magical.
Well, it was so powerful, and the fact that you talk about these being the friends that you know, and then the very next come from the cutaway, and there's a brand new friend to meet. was really, really neat. So it works, but I really hadn't created much of a backstory. So, we had 73. We ended earlier because tornado.
We did.
So okay, we're done. We're only do 3 episodes. We'll 5 episodes next time. So I had a little bit of time to sit, and it was a long time between those episodes too. So I had a long time to really sit. Okay, who is the adventuring party this with? What were they doing? Can I tie that in any way to what's going on with the story right now? And so that was when I created the whole idea behind the and you guys will find this out a little later, that he has dealt with the Empire. He just didn't know they were the Empire at the time. And who his character, who these guys were, and I did want them to be the races they are for a reason. I picked that because of kind of where we were going, what we were doing, how would this fit in. Once I knew the character was part of the group, that's when I created the backstory that would work best for the direction the party was already going.
Yeah.
And I think it fit really well. It has made 73 through 78, or 74 through 78, fun to edit, fun to create this storyline it's really special. I think all of you out there will really enjoy it. And the Texan, the saying, I was proud of Machrin on that moment.
Texan, yeah.
And I will get Machrin down. I promise. I swear. I don't. If you've heard me pausing at any point when I say Machrin, it's because I'm really trying to get his name right. I never realized I was saying his name wrong.
No, it was one of those perfect things that just fit. I mean, he was out from the frontier. Gideon was from the frontier. He had been in Venturis for a time, but he still had that that frontier accent. So he said Machrin. He said Machrin.
Yeah.
Machrin.
Yeah. Zonomus always calls him Mac. Because calling him Mock is kind of so it's like, oh, here's my nickname for you. It's an affectation. And I'm not going to say who, but there was a cast member who like one day came to me and said, does anyone besides me know how to pronounce Brooks' character's name?
And what's fantastic about that is it's the character, I'm sure it is. That character.
It's the one that's not here from the beginning. It's Poppy. It's
and Kiri or Poppy is the only one that knows how to speak Dwarven. Yeah, and it makes perfect sense
that she can get Machrin correct.
She can get Machrin right.
Fortunately, it does fit that Gaz can say his name correctly because Machrin. It just fits Machrin.
And I try when I use your whole name to say Machrin, but when I'm just you're Mac. Yeah.
And that was one of the first affinity kind of things because a Machrin didn't have a nickname. Like it's not a I don't know that it's a Dwarven thing. And so when he's got Zonomus, this guy that's kind of brotherly in a weird way, and teaches him how to play cards.
You want to really like it.
He is the cool kid.
The cool kid gave me a nickname.
Yes.
No, stop.
Yeah. And the only thing that's been weird about you guys will hear it in the outtake is one time that I slipped back into Gideon.
That's what I was talking about earlier. I didn't want to say it, but that's what I was talking about earlier. It was you were quiet for like 20 minutes, and then someone addressed you, and you're like, and you went full Gideon mode in the answer.
Oh my gosh, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Except for the one time and it was like you said Machrin said something, and I went, damn it, Machrin.
Right. I don't know what it is too, but when I get into role playing with or against even an NPC run by Ash, the accent just dies. It's just Johnny is John, and it's not until like halfway through I realize it. I'm like, I don't want to back up and go through all that again because it was good stuff, but the accent just goes away because I'm just so like Ash just like pulls me in, and it becomes like me and they are just going through it, not these characters that have voices.
Which is hell to edit, to tell you the truth, because you guys are sitting right next to each other, and you guys start talking.
Oh, we do.
And you
I don't want to give any spoilers.
And I'm like, dude, you've got to not do that because I cannot hear you. I'm having to pump you up so high.
Yeah.
Volume.
We get it's fun. It's that old
when you and Ash go at it, especially in like really private moments.
Yeah.
You guys are really start getting really, really quiet.
Well, you know what it is? It's that old World of Darkness that's in the both of us. That old Vampire the Masquerade, Changeling, Werewolf stuff. You just get real intimate and real into it, and
and you sit close to each other.
And yeah.
comparatively.
I'm thinking about separating you so that you'll have to stop.
No.
There were scenes between Iopics and Zonimus that I'm like, dude, I cannot hear you.
Those are intimate moments, Michael.
Right.
Those are intimate moments.
It's like there's no one else in the room but us, and we're cuddling on a pillow and talking while his chest is decaying or whatever it is. Michael, every once in a while on Plausible Deniability, I put Brooke in the hot seat. I'm going to put you in the hot seat right now. No obligation because of the sake of spoilers, but I just kind of say this because I want to see a sweat. And I kind of want to see if maybe you'll say something, if not everything, if not anything. Gaz.
Yes.
Orc Barbarian.
Yes.
Subclass.
Subclass. I was hoping.
What can you say?
I can, because I the first time you meet him, his tail appears when he rages.
Which confused some listeners. They were like, wait, do orcs normally have tails?
Let's see if someone can get it before I actually say it. See if someone can get this before, because he had a choice. Gaz has a choice between a tail, which can, on a reaction, increases AC, or claws, which he can actually attack with and are magical, or a bite, which, if he bites, it actually not only does damage, but it gives him hit points.
Oh.
There is a subclass, and I'm wondering if anybody in our chat can get that. Tuna got it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Path of the Beast. From Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And I beg. Well, actually, it's so funny because Ash and I were going through Tasha's and talking about it, and we got into the Barbarian, and I was like, I want to play this. I think it is.
I remember that episode.
Barbarian. Mm-hmm. It is the Berserker. Not the Berserker.
It explains why you don't wear a shirt, too.
Yeah, and it's that shape changer. It's the shape changer barbarian that is actually where that kind of Berserker barbarian comes from.
Yeah.
Celtic, and sometimes also the American mythos ideal. So I wanted him to be the Path of the Beast from the beginning. That was the only thing I knew about him. He was going to be a barbarian. He was going to be Path of the Beast. And he's got 95 hit points. He only does half damage when he's raging. Takes half damage. I love it. He is.
That's absolutely
so hard to kill. I hope. although episode 72, I did. Episode 71 to 73, I did wear my "Don't Kill My Character" T-shirt. Hopefully, Ash did that. Zani, we lost you.
I think he knows. Anyway, we'll find out. If he doesn't know, we'll figure that out. So,
yes, I enjoy him being Path of the Beast. I've got the only thing is, I did actually go. I went through half that battle, went through all of episode 72, totally forgetting that I had rage damage. Brand new characters. So that is it's the reason why characters should start somewhere between first and third level. Is because as you build, you learn what it is your characters can do. You throw a character in at 9th level, it's like there is so much that he can do. Plus, he's a dual wielder. He's got the dual wielder feat, so he can grab both his long swords and fight with both those. Or there's just a whole bunch of stuff going on.
But, so many notes to have. It's almost for a while. It's almost like you're DMing because. As a DM, you have to have the range of all these monsters and everything. And I always forget. I'm like, oh, dang it, that monster could have done this thing, So
I've got the big cheat sheet for my character that I built out so that I can make sure. There he is.
I'm here.
Good to have you back.
Yay, good to have you back.
I didn't go anywhere. I was in the shadows.
It was in the shadows.
I was in the shadows.
You didn't see it.
Mystery.
There you go. So, Johnny, you mentioned in your not homebrew, but in your home Pathfinder game that you have, that, spoiler on that if anyone's watching, that the Paladin is no longer with you guys. What was the format? What was the setup for bringing a new character in there.
No,
You guys were-
he felt bad about killing me, so he didn't kill me.
Oh, that's so
Right, yeah. Now, what did happen is when that game first started, spoiler alert if you're playing Age of Ashes, we walked by a puddle and we died from all the stuff inside the puddle. TPK.
Kashiar.
True on TPK level 2. Maybe level 2.
Oh.
So the GM was like, that was weird, let's ignore that. And then we moved on. But we did end up in a situation where it was like, we are all going to die. Or we need to go. It's seriously been like listening to intense moments of Crossing the Streams again, Glass Cannon or Androids and Aliens, where it's like we're all going to die. Can you teleport away so at least you live or something?
Yes.
And so we sat down as players and talked in the middle of a game session and said, the person, there was a guy playing a female orc sorcerer. And he was like, this isn't what I thought it would be in Pathfinder 2, so I'd like to be something else. So he's like, I will die to come back as a new character. Came back as a fighter, loved it, did great, went to the end.
Awesome.
But it was it was a situation where two of us held the door while two of us ran away. Gotcha. And then we went back to where and spoiler alert, in that game, like session 1, you inherit a castle. It's run down and ragged, but you inherit a castle. Cool. So we went back to the town where the castle was, and we found these 2 adventurers looking for work while we were down 2 people. So the druid and I hired them in, and one thing led to another, and then we went back to where we were. The better, more well-rounded and stuff, because it was kind of like this makeup of the party is really weird. And so we ended up with a better makeup, which was a benefit to us of that moment of we realized and it wasn't a mistake, it wasn't a fluke, it wasn't like bad writing or editing in the story. It was just we can't handle what's happening, and there's no way out for all of us. And this is a situation that would be absurd if the GM said that's dumb and backtracked it, So we were just like, okay, 2 of us hold it down while 2 of us run away. And we did. And it worked out great. And we always referenced, and even if it was a home game, we still, the druid and I, when it come down to like really intense stuff, he and I would like make that eye contact, or we'd say something to each other, or big decisions would be talked about between us, and then we take it to the party. And so it was kind of that we've been in this from the beginning. We know what the Crimson is doing. We know what this dragon god is up to, and so it was fun. It was great. It made the story overall better. I think I've been in one situation where someone died, made a new character, and then moped the rest of the campaign. And that's just and it's unfortunate for them because they were missing out on great opportunities. Yeah. But take what you can and make it better. And sometimes I kind of sometimes shrug at the saying of everything happens for a reason, but character death in a role playing game, it always ends up better.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So also the way you introduce the next character is always fun too.
Oh yeah.
And, like I said, the first character that died in our Saturday afternoon campaign, he decided he wanted to play a character who was supposed to be he played an Aasimar, that was supposed to be the guardian angel of the guy who died. So he basically gets kicked out of heaven because he becomes a fallen Aasimar because he didn't watch for the guy who died. And so I said, okay, you guys, everyone's sitting around sleeping. They're kind of sad because Sir John has died, and then you hear Aasimar just falls to the ground. There you go. He's now introduced into the party.
Nice.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we were going to mention that. As players or DMs, how have you brought new PCs in? Fun ways you've brought them in. I'll tell you what. One of my easy go-tos as a DM to bring someone in is typically if you're gone because of death. If you're gone because you're in the reserves and the army called, that's a little bit harder. But if you died because you were in a dungeon or you were in the bad guy's keep or something, so I always preface it with. You walk in and the light is coming from 1,000 candles on a chandelier in the ceiling, shadows flickering on the walls. You notice to the east 2 people bound and gagged trying to squirm out of their restraints. as the, and I keep going. So if you die, well, there are two people over here bound and restrained. Why doesn't the rest of your party go, oh, we'll have to bury him later. Let's go free these two. One of them is you. What do we see? Introduce us. That is the easiest way in a combat oriented way to bring someone back in.
Captive is always best, and that's what we did with the second guy. He was his sister had actually gone ahead, and she was actually captive in the dungeon, and so okay, great. That's how we'll bring you back in. That's always the easiest way to do it. But I think that's why I love the way that Curie played Poppy in episode 73. Was, although it's being played by Michael, and Michael, and this obviously is supposed to be the new character that's supposed to be brought in. Poppy doesn't know that, and Poppy can't trust him, but it did actually make me think, we went the wrong way. I think Ash and I went the wrong way. I should have been somebody evil and tried to come in as the friend to the group, and then, totally backstab the group and all those guys, and then brought in the real character 2 or 3 months later.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I always like? You talk about coming back as evil. I've always wanted to do this in a campaign where, so say we're fighting a really bad guy named Steve, and my character dies. Well, he comes back as a really bad guy, but if Steve's plan goes through, my bad guy character loses everything. So my character as a bad guy wants to join up with the group that's fighting against it.
Right.
Yeah. So it's now not a group of good people doing good. It's a group of people fighting against Steve. Some are good, some are bad. They all have their own reasons, but they're all in it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rival of
and that would create the interaction that was kind of there with Zonimus and Gideon in the beginning with the whole plausible deniability death threats and things.
And my son's first campaign that we did for Saturday Night Group, I played an evil character. He was lawful evil. He was from Waterdeep. He was basically a brat paladin. That's the one that Aiden killed twice. My paladins just die. So they're such glass cannons. It's horrible.
Well, don't get me wrong, but lawful evil is a fantastic alignment.
But what was really cool was by the time we'd gone through level 1 through level 20, he ended up being a lawful good character.
Oh man, that's awesome.
He had this whole story arc. First off, with the fact that he's kind of a racist, but then he's in a party with people of different races, and so he learns to be with them and understand them, and it was really neat to work with my own son to build this character from a lawful evil character who basically wants to be a ruler. He's a brat. He's a spoiled, prince, to becoming a hero and to becoming lawful good was just a lot of fun to do.
Was he racist against gnomes? Because that's forgivable.
No, he was racist against turtles.
Oh, that's sad. No, we got to put a stop to that.
We had a turtle cleric. and basically the first time the turtle cleric went down, I stepped over him. I'm a paladin. I stepped over him to not. I'm like, oh, it's horrible. I was a horrible, horrible creature, but eventually he became my best friend. And
nice, yeah.
And then it was really fun to make this character that eventually becomes a Lord of Waterdeep, but he's now good.
Yeah.
Wait, he's a Lord of Waterdeep and he's good?
Yeah.
Are you doing this right?
He's a benevolent Lord of Waterdeep.
Okay.
Of course,
he's a rare breed.
He's not an open Lord of Waterdeep, so it's okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough.
It's something. I think the most fun that I ever had in a campaign with characters, and it's not something you can do all the time, but in one of the Pathfinder campaign arcs, the Reign of Winter campaign arc, you actually end up traveling with Baba Yaga's dancing hut.
Oh wow.
And it's kind of an interdimensional TARDIS type of thing.
No.
And so this was, 3 years of an arc or whatever in real time. And so we had people that had to leave, there was a student group. And so we had students that had to leave, and because they graduated and went on in life, and we had some character death. But talk about a DM's gift because of the interdimensionality of the hut, it could tart us in and tart us out, and there happens to be somebody on the porch, or you open the next interdimensional room and then there's somebody in there, and it was so easy to bring in a believable story arc campaign type of way because of that plot device. So it was tons of fun.
I have dogs barking in the background. Can you hear them?
No,
good. It's a good mic.
Not on the live anyway.
It's a good mic. This is my mic.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yes.
When you did that, we could hear the yip yip.
Oh, weird. Shut up. It is 8:10. How are we doing?
I think I gotta go to sleep.
All right.
I gotta be up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I got one more thing I want to say before we go, and it kind of bounces off what Machrin started with there. I said Machrin, what Brooke started with, is the most fun he's had. The most fun I've had this week has been this past hour. So thank you again, Mr. Cross, for joining us. Yeah. Anytime, every time. It's a pleasure.
I'm enjoying. I love it. So I didn't realize I would have so much fun. So who knows? This might be a regular thing.
Three old dudes in the basement talking about some D&D.
It's the Grognard's basement.
Grognard's basement. Right. We're gonna have a name change from Plausible.
No, we could
Grognard's basement.
No, this is the Grognard cave. It's the man cave. It's the Grognard cave.
Grognard cave. All right, we'll be back in 2 weeks, and then we're going to take a break until January because we're going to be in the holiday mix there, people traveling and such and everything.
Happy everybody.
We got Hal, we got the Texan, we got Dunick, we got a lot of the people in the chat that are just maybe hanging out and listening and such. We had little Miss Poppy jumping in, having fun with us. Appreciate every one of you. Love that you came around. Come back in 2 weeks.
Absolutely awesome.
What we need to do is we need to have Michael on when we have no topic. That will be awesome.
Oh, do it. Yes. I'm up for that. I will talk about anything. Just go roll a dice. We're gonna talk Star Trek. Okay, good.
I'm gonna say this right now. Next episode of Plausible Deniability, the three of us.
All right.
Okay.
10-minute D&D session. I'll run it. You two bring characters.
What?
Done.
That's awesome.
Done.
And okay, never mind. Stand by for news in the Discord because I got an idea, but Johnny's DM, and so I need to make sure. I'm thinking, a 3-party thing might be good.
Let's not go crazy.
Someone on Patreon.
I don't know. Hal had some interesting things to say about Star Trek. I might kill his character early in a 10-minute game. Early. Round of applause for Michael Cross, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. How about Brooke Bullock there?
He's on the thing.
Brooke is awesome.
And don't forget the Johnny Payne.
Thank you. That's enough. Too much. You're too much. All right, we will see y'all in 2 weeks. I'm hitting stop streaming in 3, 2.
The land block
stop
siren is on.
streaming.